Without a doubt, the hardest thing I've ever done in my life.
A race of commitment. There was no turning back.
One word, inspiring.
I expected RAAM to be different this year than it was last year, but it was different in ways that I did not expect.
The basis for comparison of what I'd done in the past and doing RAAM simply didn't exist.
It lives up to its name. Toughest bicycle race in the world.
This is my command central. This is where I'm really looking into exactly what is going out on the road and all the racers. Prior to the race, these riders were training extremely hard. 2, sometimes 3 times a day, I had them training, and we were able to go to training camps, and we were able to really train a little bit harder from an intense standpoint, and that's prepared them for the race.
So this weekend, the team for 2014 Race Across America is in training in the Catoctin Mountains in a town called Thurmont, Maryland.
We've got 3 days of seriously hilly riding on some of the routes that we'll be covering on the RAAM course itself.
Well, the ride this morning was interesting for me. This boy from South Carolina is not used to this kind of weather.
I'd say today was the toughest ride I've ever had in my life. It was exceedingly cold. There were blizzardy rains the whole time.
We've got a great team this year. This is an opportunity to meet and talk about race strategy, to get to know and gel with the crew as well.
A certain personal discipline is required to get there.
And that of course takes away from friends, from family, and puts a lot of stress from a work perspective on getting everything done.
The sacrifice comes personally at the expense of my time, but also very much for my family, who really devotes a lot of their own energy to enabling me to do this.
One of the other reasons I'm riding is I lost both parents to cancer 20 years ago. And right now, I am an 18-month survivor of renal cell cancer.
I'm dedicating this year's ride and riding on behalf of my father, who currently is battling mantle cell lymphoma.
It takes a very special individual to do Race Across America. They're burning the candle at both ends, and they're finding a way to get it done.
We're extremely excited this year, and the beneficiary of our Race Across America and all the funds that we'll raise will be going towards Stand Up to Cancer, which is a tremendous organization.
I mean, I can only hope that us doing this race raises, everybody's aware of cancer, but raises additional awareness for the opportunities that they can get involved in.
It's going to be such an epic adventure. It's going to be one of those lifetime moments.
My name is Kerry McConlode.
My name is Pierre Mountford.
My name is Bruce Carr.
My name is Wesley Spratt.
My name is John Fee. I'm doing the 2014 Race Across America
For Bristol Myers Squibb.
And Stand Up to Cancer.
We're here in Oceanside, California, getting ready to start the 2014 Race Across America, the biggest race of our lives. This morning was marked by the vans and support vehicles being staged being clean, being supplied, organized by the crew and the team and staff, a series of inspections of the vehicles, the equipment, the bikes, uniforms, helmets to make sure everything's to code, meeting with RAAM officials, and also our team photo, and a mandatory meeting late in the afternoon where our team was announced in front of a huge audience of over 400 to 500 people amongst 35 other teams from all around the globe. We saw today the grand finale of the Coast to Coast for Cancer ride. 53 of our oncology sales representatives. It was a highly emotional trip for all of them as they represented those patients who have passed due to the horrible disease and for those who are still fighting the disease amongst their family and friends today.
The event was epic. I mean, started 18 days ago in Stamford, Connecticut with a team of 12 that gave it everything they had and handed off from one team to the next to the final team who rode it in today. And it's been unbelievably inspirational to see these 55 novice bikers who literally before this had never been on bikes, many of them. And to see them test their bodies, and in many cases one of the coaches said, you know what, I've been doing this for many, many years, and most people would have gotten off their bikes and gotten in the van, and not these riders, because every time they thought about their legs aching, they said to themselves, what I'm going through right now pales in comparison to what a cancer patient goes through. And I have the choice to continue to pedal, and cancer patients might not. And so for us, it was wildly inspirational to keep in mind that we're doing this for something much bigger than all of us as individual riders and much bigger than the collective team with BMS and Stand Up for Cancer. We're doing it for patients who can't do it for themselves. And we hope that there's many, many more survivors based on events like this where we can give more and more money to cancer research. So it's been an amazing event.
The Coast to Coast for Cancer team has now passed the baton to the Race Across America team that will continue to take that fight to the road against cancer from Oceanside, California, through the deserts, climb the Rockies, through the Great Plains, across the Mississippi, across the final mountain ranges to finish in Annapolis, Maryland. It's an exciting time for all of us, something we've all worked individually and collectively towards, and we are excited and up for the challenge and can't wait to get started.
So today is day one of the Race Across America. All four of us started together at the Oceanside Pier down by the Strand. Did about 1 mile together and then started what will be a 4-man relay across the country.
Well, we're almost at the time station number 2 in the desert in California, and I must say I'm very happy with the pacing that we've started at. At the first time check, Stand Up to Cancer BMS are 6 minutes ahead of their goal of finishing in just under 6 days. Must say I'm very happy, and Carrie and John are looking extremely strong after their first pull.
Feeling good, feeling good. It's the first day, first few hours are always a little crazy. A lot of teams on the road. So a lot of passing, a lot of excitement, a lot of adrenaline. Hopefully now we can kind of settle into our rhythm.
So the way we do logistics for a 4-man team in the Race Across America is to create two-person teams, each of which will take a 6-hour shift while the other 2 will rest in the van. Each of those 2 during their shift will trade off relay style, switching riding every 20 minutes or so for about 6 hours while the other 2 are resting.
We had 5 vehicles, 2 vans that shuttled the riders to and from and supported them while they were on the route with food, water, rest, all those sorts of things. 1 follow car that probably 98% of the time was following behind the rider, providing support, directions, and just being there in case something happened, not to mention music blasting out the front. We also had a ever-present media mafia roaming around in their Sprinter van, filming us and capturing all this great footage. And then the last piece of the puzzle was a 56-foot tour bus. 12 bunks, 2 different lounge areas, kitchen that became a full kitchen, thanks to Rose, that was our living, breathing hotel slash logistical headquarters slash anything and everything else that could possibly be.
So the key to the race is that we never stop. We ride 24 hours a day all through the course of the race. And these transitions, it's like a virtual baton passing where one rider will come up on the other rider, they'll overlap the wheels and they'll keep going.
Everybody ready?
Yes, ma'am. Good. We are half hour to shift change. Does anybody have a temperature reading out there? 106. Nice. Yeah, definitely. Hey, man. First 6 hours. Well done. You guys are freaking bombing it. Go get them, all right? Great ride, Bruce. Great ride, guys. Way to go, Mark, JR.
So John and I just came off shift at 6 o'clock, and Bruce and Pia started their shift, and they'll go to midnight, where John and I will get back on, and we'll ride from midnight to 6 a.m. And then Bruce and Pia will get back on again. So we're going nonstop for hopefully 6 straight days.
Our personal goal within the team is to break 6 days, and we're 11 minutes ahead of our goal. So I'm quite happy with the way that we're pacing right now. The goal of 6 days ultimately came about because the mixed record is 6 days and 4 hours.
Get the man! Dude, we reeled him in, man. 50-mile-an-hour descents. Got close, and Carrie got him in the sights of the climb. Just stuck him. Yeah! Nice job, man. Nice job.
It's an intense effort and it's backing off. People think of RAAM as just one big long slog fest. It's actually quite a intense, high intensity workout for 3,000 miles. So you need to be switched on mentally and physically for 6 days. What Tractalis is, this tells me exactly where they are in comparison to the other teams on the course. So what I can do is click on Stand Up to Cancer and where we're at, BMS, click my information, and I can see that we're in first place as a mixed relay and that the second place team is over 129 kilometers behind us. We are fighting against our time. It is truly a race against ourselves, but seeing this other information just motivates quite a few riders on this team, including the coach as well. My overall view of the team, they're doing fantastic right now. I'm very, very happy. I'm very proud of the efforts that they're putting out and the pacing that we're doing right now. I expect us to come in under 6 days. I'm in a little bit of disbelief. In 2013, we had a rider crash. Well, lightning has struck twice, and in 2014, we have had an accident going down the hill again within the exact same mile of a 3,000-mile race. The wind yesterday was something that I rarely see. First, it was a fantastic tailwind, 30, 40 miles an hour. But then we started to get some gusts at the top of the mountain passes where the wind was funneling that were reaching 50 and 60 miles an hour. Unfortunately, one of those gusts took Carrie off the road. After Carrie fell, the staff got John Fee back on his bike, and we continued down the hill. From a coaching standpoint, I'm amazed at the 3 athletes and our staff here. We are continuing to make time, and I don't see us slowing down.
Originally, when we started the race, the goal as a mixed team of male and female was to break the 6-day, 4-hour record that was set many years ago. The coach had his own goal for all of us, which was to go below 6 days. When Carrie went down on day 2, that goal all of a sudden became unimaginable.
I foresee our team continuing to pedal forward extremely fast. We won the Unstoppable Award in 2013. That's inspired us, and we plan on winning the Unstoppable Award and the record in 2014 in Annapolis, Maryland. We had a plan, we had a contingency plan, and we really didn't miss a beat from a performance standpoint.
We crossed the Continental Divide. That was so cool.
Right. From a personal perspective, since I wasn't able to complete the race, it was obviously disappointing in many ways. But I was proud of the team. They did a phenomenal job in going from 4 riders to 3 riders, which I know is very challenging.
One of the striking parts of this particular event for me was how we interacted with the crew.
Crew chiefing was hard. It's a very challenging role. There's a lot of things going on. You're managing not only all kinds of logistics, but all kinds of people and an ever-changing environment. To ride 3,000 miles is incredibly hard, let alone if you have to also be thinking about what you're going to eat, where you're going to go, how you're going to do anything. We wanted to be their eyes, their ears, their brains for the week so that they can shut that off and focus on the task at hand, to ride forward.
The riding is physical and crewing is emotional and physical, and for me then a lot more difficult.
I think the crew is amazing. It's an absolutely incredible group of people. I am incredibly honored to have been a part of that crew. This crew, I think, beyond all else, just has incredible heart and incredible personality, and it's just incredibly talented, capable, emotionally sensitive people.
I started gradually interrogating my way through the crew, and I realized that all of them had multifaceted, complex careers, and they were working for us in a role where they subordinated their own egos entirely to support us being prima donnas and having our little hissy fits and so on. And yet there they were, as humble as pie. So I was just incredibly grateful that they could do that.
The support from the crew was incredible. You know, you're going along through Kansas, riding sideways, fighting the wind for hour after hour after hour, and having the crew you know, yelling funny things into your earpiece. One of the crew, Lindsay, was full of fun facts. So at one point I was feeling very unhappy about riding through Kansas, and she's from Kansas. So I was muttering something about, I'm never coming back to Kansas. So she calls across the mic and she says, I have a fun fact for you. To our right we have Dodge City, or whatever it was, which has the largest ball of twine. And that's how it started. She just came up with these ridiculous facts that just so irrelevant and just really funny.
Your butt's sore, your legs are sore, everything about you is sore, you haven't slept in days. If you don't laugh, no one continues forward. That's when things really get bad.
And there was another really, really good one. It was 2 days ago, and I got to the first transition of the day, and one of the iconic crew members popped out wearing a canary yellow cheerleader outfit with pom-pom, okay, which I nearly snorted myself silly with laughter.
Get us out of this hell of a state.
Yeah.
Bruce and I rode we rode Utah. Now, in fairness, it's just a tiny corner of Utah that we go through, but Bruce and I rode that whole section, and we got into it at dusk, and we came to the painted desert, and then we went into Monument Valley with all those big buttes, those crazy shaped buttes, and it was just as dusk was starting to set, so you could imagine the silhouettes with this 40-mile-an-hour wind blowing, dust clouds riding sideways at an angle against the wind, barreling along at about 35 miles an hour. It was just surreal. And then as it got darker, the moon only came up at about 1 a.m. So it was pitch black, this wind was howling, tearing down these mountain passes, not knowing when the next gust was going to hit you. And just realizing what sheer craziness this whole thing was, with a little follow van blaring out pop music from speakers on the roof racks. I mean, it was just surreal.
One of the most wild parts of this is going to sleep in this bus that is a great sleeping quarters in that you don't know whether it's day or night. It's also incredibly disorienting. So you go to sleep in one state, one place, and then 2, 4, 6 hours, if you're lucky, later, you wake up in some other unknown place. The first thing that we would do, pick up our phone, hit Google Maps. Oh, okay, I'm in, fill in the blank. Great. You get outside of the bus, you look around, see if you're in a cornfield or a gas station or whatever, just to get some sense of what's around you, where they're coming from, and where you now are.
When I was watching Carrie and John smashing it on the flats in Arizona, averaging 40, 50 miles an hour, and averaging over 31 miles an hour for the entire segment. It was amazing to see all their hard work. It was amazing to see these two athletes peaking at that moment in time. That was a very, very special moment from an athletic standpoint.
The scariest one was perhaps in Maryland, where there was 5 very large hills, and I was just about due to do my transition. There was an opaque fog, and I was wearing my clear glasses at the time, and my glasses misted up, and I was going down the hill at 48.3 miles an hour, and I had no visibility at all, and I couldn't see even the lines on the road. And I hit rumble strips, and I looked down and I couldn't even see the rumble strips, and I wasn't sure if I was on the side of the road or which side of the road, so I took a bet and swerved in one direction and ripped the glasses off my face and threw them away while I was riding incredibly quickly. And it turned out the rumble strips were actually in the middle of the road, and I was perfectly safe. But that was kind of scary.
All of us were there because we wanted to be there. And when you're having fun, you're doing something nuts. I mean, it's completely nutso. When do you get to do these kind of stupid things in your life? Even when it's hard, even when it's suffering, everyone is rallying together, and really, at the end of the day, it's fun. And you've got to remember to have fun. We're enormously privileged to have sound, strong bodies to be able to do this with. How could you not have fun?
From the mixed team point of view, the gender mix didn't matter at all. From an ability point of view, or from an emotional point of view, for that matter either. There's an inner toughness that we feel that we have, that we can bring to the fore for a race like RAAM, and that gender becomes completely irrelevant.
Being the only female in the mixed team wasn't really something that I thought about in terms of, oh, I'm the only girl, because they never treated me like the girl. I was always just one of the team. And certainly in the back of those vans, there was no distinction, no respect for girl versus boy, male versus female. It was just do what you needed to do. The back of that van was hideous. It was just sweat and Gatorade and dirty clothes and stink and blah, In fact, I think they should take that back seat out of the van and burn it. But no, I mean, the guys were fantastic. We just did it as a team. You didn't even think about male, female. The one thing that I did notice throughout the preparation, especially as things ramped up towards the race and as the Coast to Coast for Cancer folks were doing their thing, is a lot of people made a point, a lot of women made a point of saying to me that I had inspired them to maybe push themselves a little harder, do things that they wouldn't normally be doing. And so if that's what comes out of this, that women realize that, we're strong, we're resilient, we can accomplish great things together. It's not that they're too weak to do things, that they can't push themselves a little harder. You know, that would be hopefully a bit of inspiration to a few women out there to realize you can.
So the emotional toll that the race takes on each of the riders is extensive. There were many, many times where I had my head down and was pedaling and was visibly emotional or crying, thinking about my dad who's going through chemotherapy, or the friends and family's pictures that I had on my bike that I lost to the disease. So the physical toll that it takes on your body brings out the emotional piece earlier and more transparently than anybody can imagine. And it really gets at the soul of why you're racing, why you've committed the time, and why it's so meaningful to each individual rider and to all the family and friends that were touched by cancer that were following us. We inspired hundreds upon hundreds of people that were connected to us. RAAM helped me realize that there are no boundaries in life, that nothing is outside the realm of accomplishment. Anything can be done, nothing's impossible, and that's the main takeaway that I took from RAAM.
From an individual standpoint, I think what was very, very special for me, as I mentioned, was John Fee in Maryland and climbing those hills. He did not have much left in the tank, and watching him pedal up those hills was absolutely incredible. It really was. He went above and beyond his limits. He talked about his legs and how sore they were, and he had doubts whether he could do it. But the way he came through in the end was absolutely amazing. A special touch to it for me was playing a message from John's dad and being in the van at that point.
Hey John, it's Dad. Exciting news. I just want to let you know that I completed my 5th treatment today. It went well, and I have only 1 more to go. My finish line is in sight. Not having to put a plan in place for me back in January to get through Dr. RAAM and at the end. You drove that plan, and the results are now outstanding.
And knowing everything John's been through, it was extremely tough. You can see where John Fee, the athlete, gets his guts from.
I ended up getting the last piece, the last pull, and the crew chief said to me, "Pierre, it's the last 5 miles. You know, will you take us home?" And I remember saying to him, "It'll be my pleasure." You know, it was very emotional for me, that last bit. Because these endurance events are hard, and so many people work to make it happen. So when you're coming in and you're the flag bearer, you're overcome with joy because it's done and because you did it well and you accomplished what you wanted to accomplish. But there's so much more to it than just the joy. There's this incredible sense of loss because it's over. Okay, like, you've had this thing you've been living for 6 months, and suddenly it's over. And it's joyous that it's over, because thank God it's over. You don't have to get on the bike tomorrow. And the sport and all the incredible camaraderie, it's just this overwhelming set of emotions that just takes you over. So that last 5 miles I raced in, and once we passed RAAM's head, and in my little earpiece, Eli said to me, "Okay, Pierre, you've got to keep cycling for a couple of miles, but this is the timed section is over. You know, you can take this at your leisure." That 2 miles, I just howled the whole 2 miles. It was just such an emotional release to finally be able to not focus on the race and focus on everything, and just the joy of getting to the end and everyone just so happy to have done it.
Days, 22 hours, 40 minutes. Doing a little double checking, but we think you might have a new record. Previous fastest, 6:04.
For the last 6 months, all of it coming together and watching them perform at their peak and smashing their record, I must say I'm extremely proud, happy, and I'm inspired as a coach.
From a team performance perspective, we met our goals, we broke the record. We won our division.
We collectively raced amongst the best of the four-man category, including the best of Northern Germany and the Northern German team, 4 athletes powered by Stinger Bike, who won overall last year. We passed them several times on the road and shocked them that we were competing at such a high level in the mixed team category.
I obviously thought the race was incredible. From a performance standpoint, from a team unity standpoint, this experience and all of us coming together has made it an incredible journey.
Take it up, take it over.